I'm gonna start this all over. What's up, everybody? The K-Series GTST is in Austin getting some work done for the manifold. We're taking the opportunity to dive into some of Al's projects. Al is a very well-versed mechanic and does a lot of really unique stuff. So we're gonna take a look at his R32 as well as a Ferrari restoration that he's gonna be doing. All right, so what are we looking at here, Al?
A stripped out R32 shell.
And how did it get that way?
Well, started off after Nationals.
Well, let's talk about how you got the car. So it didn't always start off as a shell.
It was a complete car.
How long ago was it a complete car? Like what? So you got the car when?
A year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago.
And it was good? Where'd you get it from?
Picked up from a local importer, which is no longer around. Lucky me.
Do you know the history of the car?
It belonged to a shop called STR or something like that. Had a lot of good stuff when I got the car. A lot of good upgrades, actually.
So you drove it around for a little while after you got it?
I did, drove it around for a little bit, got some intake, some charge pipe done with Stu. Added some stuff to support it and tuned it, had fun for a little bit, took it to Nationals and blew it up.
How much power did it end up putting down before it
When
cracked
I first got
itself?
the car, I took it to Joe Tack and the car did 320 at 1 bar.
On stock turbos?
No, HKS 2530s.
Okay.
On pump gas. After a little while, that's when I upgraded it. Got some piping, injectors, ECU, and then retuned it. Got to 430-ish on pump gas at 16 psi or so.
Okay. And it was a fun car. I remember riding in it.
Very fun.
It was fast. And then
Very.
we had an outing at Nationals.
Yeah.
That is no more. Skyline Nationals is no more, but we had an outing. So that was your first time tracking this car, right?
Yes, it was.
And how was that?
It was great while it lasted.
What happened?
Start, typical RB26 stuff.
So the oil pan starved? Was there, two people who don't have Skylines, why is it that the RB tends to starve oil?
They built up too much oil pressure and it goes up top. Never comes back down.
And
it comes down slowly.
Right, and it's such a tiny pan,
Very
right?
small
Stock pan, 4.5 quarts
Very small pan.
for a big inline six.
Yeah. For an example, the catch can collected all the oil.
Yeah. So after that happened, you decided you were gonna take everything down?
Yeah, restored. There's a few things in the car that bothered me that I didn't like typical crushed front rockers. Quarter panel on the passenger, the left rear quarter panel was replaced in Japan, and
Did you know that before, or did you?
I did not.
So
when I bought the car, I did not. And then as I was
can you
looking
show
through
us
it,
some of the stuff on the shell?
I don't know how we're gonna get through here.
That's
but
okay.
let's try.
We'll make it work.
I think if you stand here and look back there where the tail light pocket is, you can see it.
Oh, okay.
It was a very poor seaming job there up top, in which I already took the rear glass section off, got a replacement piece for it. But next step is bless the car, take it home and start taking the bads out and put the good stuff on.
Okay.
New quarter panels.
Do you already have all of the new body components?
I have new body panels, yes. Lots of few things here and there. I'm still gathering a lot of parts as I go.
So Al, what are common issues or areas on the chassis that pose issues with rust or, Are there any areas on the chassis that require reinforcing? Are you going to do any of that? What are we looking at?
Parts, I mean, areas to look for, it's usually around the windshield area, front and back, around the door hinges. They usually show a little bit of the history of the car. But most of these cars, they're all a little bit different. They all show rust in different areas. I've seen a car with rust throughout here, which made no sense. I have no idea how that happened. Some cars are different, I guess, but that's mainly the areas to look for. These seals are really weird how they're set up. They're double-sided tape, weather stripping on top of the weather strip of the glass, and I think that collects water and just sits there.
Did you have any signs of rust on the rear quarter where it meets the trunk line? Typically, like for example, in my first GTR that was rusted to shit, where the rear panel is sealed to the rear part of the chassis, right there under the trunk lid. I had a bunch of rust on my first car there.
I did not. My car had actually nothing, just small surface area.
It was like right in.
But this
all
quarter
of
panel
this.
here has not been replaced, and you can see where water's set here and collected.
So this is a typical issue, right? Where
Yes.
it drains into
Yep.
the stripping, and then it comes down here, and then there's a
Sits there, yes.
yeah. Is
So-
there not? I thought there was a drain.
There's no
That
drain.
goes-
There's no drain there. So this is a replacement piece for the one that came off my car, which was really bad. It goes here. Mine had holes here, rust holes throughout, and I believe that side was worse when they replaced that quarter panel. I mean, you can see better here now how bad the seam was. But otherwise, that's mainly it. I don't have any rust underneath it anywhere. It's just mainly the areas that were worked on, windshield areas, and very little around the door hinges.
Okay. Cool. So when you start putting the car back together, what are your goals for the car after restoration's done?
Well, just get a stock RB26 in it for now. I bought a spare engine and trans, which came with some really good stuff. N1 turbos, Nismo copper twins, copper mixed twins. But that's it. And try to get some. Just basically trying to get the car back to stock as much as possible. Color I'm going to change. I'm going red, Nissan red of some sort, probably the R35 red.
Okay.
There's two R35 red codes. I can't remember the one I want.
With a lot of these old cars, especially with restos, you tear it down to a bare chassis like this. Sometimes when it goes back together, people leave things out. Is there anything that you're going to leave out or modify or make better when taking it back to OEM?
I am going to reinforce the chassis a little bit around the rockers. I'm going to remove the rocker caps, like that one Japanese. I can't remember the name. We can probably find it and put it down somewhere for people to watch. But they took the end caps of the rocker panels and they put a square tubing through it and reinforced it. Reinforced the rocker with a brace from the rocker panel to the frame rails. I may do that just because it's such a weak point. All the rockers get crushed so easily. And that's pretty much it. Everything else should be left out stock. Reinforce the subframe like everybody does.
Yeah. Are you going to track the car at all again after the motor gets put back in and put back together?
I'm not sure. I may. Well, yes, I think so. After all the fixes, we'll give it another shot.
Okay.
See what it does. But yeah, we'll get there one day.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it with the car. There's a lot going on here and there. I have a little project at the house. A 92 GSR, a V17. How long has it been since you've seen one?
I haven't seen a B17 since I was 16 years old.
Well, there it is. There it is, friend.
DA-GSR. That's cool.
Is that
It's really cool to see some Honda stuff again. I'm frothing at the mouth for the CRX. So we're at Al's house in his garage, and he's got all of his GTR stuff above us in his workspace. He got what you see over here on the intercooler. This is a a dual inlet, single outlet ARC intake, right?
No, it's HKS.
It's HKS.
I believe it's HKS, and they're
Okay.
massive. They're like 6-inch core, I believe.
Yeah, look. And you don't really see dual inlets very often, so it's really cool to see that.
I just bought it because it was HKS.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't let Zach know you got those. This is probably my favorite part. Look at the condition of these.
Actually, a bit dirty.
Are you going to keep the white car?
Yeah, the white car I bought it from an old friend of mine, AJ. He had built a B16 with a full CTR rotating assembly, lower end. Has an Indyne June 3 profile cams. Not sure what the compression is, but it should be pretty good. There's some goodies that will go with the car. Transmission, I have to take apart. I have an ATS LSD set up for it, which I may do it in this transmission. That's good on the sports car. But that's it. Just waiting on parts. And hopefully I have me another Honda again.
Those are the new rear quarters for the GTR?
Correct.
Man, it's cool to see brand new quarters.
Yes, sir.
Seems like you can't find them all of a sudden.
No. No,
They
you
got
cannot.
all bought up.
Yeah, but a lot of the GTR is everywhere. A lot of new stuff, boxed up. A lot of the old stuff that is still good to use or whatnot. Usable, I guess. But there'll be a lot of extras to sell once the car is done. Unless I find another car. Who knows? But enough of that. Let's go look at another project I'm working on with the man,
Who's the man?
Mr. Petlow.
Okay. My GTR.
Yeah, it would be so cool.